So, Grandma, are you excited for the movie?
Yes, I am. I am.
What are your expectations for this movie?
You know, there again, I really don't know. I mean, I'm sure it's going to be good. Right?
And you know what? Darn it, I enjoyed it. I'm not gonna spoil anything, but it was basically just like a fun roller coaster. You like put your hands up and you're like, okay, I guess this is happening now. Woo! And like, I'm absolutely the worst at like movie analysis or critique. Basically, for me, it just boils down to, did I have a good time sitting there in my seat? And if the answer is yes, then darn it, to me, it was a good movie. Cause like, that's all movies really are. They're just experiences you have. So if it was a good one, if you enjoyed it, then darn it, it was a good one. That being said, there were a few minor things that kind of I wasn't a huge fan of. And I'm not gonna spoil anything in the movie, but these are just, you know, I just have to get these off my chest. Number one, the color. Now granted, we went and watched it in a pretty surprisingly old theater. It was pretty old and not the greatest projector screen, to be honest. Like, I've heard some people complain that it was like graded too dark, and other people saying, what, you're crazy, I could see everything perfectly. Maybe it was the theater that you went to. And so I'm assuming I just had a bad theater. But yeah, I definitely did have that dark situation. But it wasn't as much about lighting to me as just color. Every scene had not just a predominant color theme, but it was like basically the only color. It was like I was watching a black and white movie that was just tinted. Like, seriously, anytime they were inside, it was intense orange and yellow, and whenever they were outside, it was like this crushing blue. And like, I recognize, you know, teal and orange, it's important for modern movies, but it was just so intensely done that it kind of took me out of it for a minute, because I was like, this isn't, like, color grading, right? It's all about conveying, like, context and emotion in visually. But this is just, I don't know, it was a lot. Number two. Is this a spoiler? There was something, what was like a callback to the original trilogy that they referenced, and the first shot that they showed it, I was like, oh, that's kind of cool, that's clever, I get that, ha ha ha. And then they showed it again, and I'm like, oh, okay, I mean, I guess, you know, in case people didn't get the first time, and then they showed it a third time, and I'm like, okay, we freaking get it. Now, granted, like, this thing had plot significance later on in the story, but they could have, it just seemed like it had so many unnecessary close-ups. Like, we get it. We know what this thing looks like. You keep, like, getting a very close shot of where it's just it and then everything's out of focus, like, 5 times in the movie. Oh my gosh, we get it. I don't know, maybe I'm just missing something, or I didn't pick up. Maybe it was necessary to do that, and I don't get it, which is totally possible. I'm horrible at movie analysis. We've covered this already. But I will say, on a positive note, the actor, I forget his name. Ehrenreich? I think I'm probably mispronouncing that. He did a freaking good job. It was weird because I didn't see him as Harrison Ford. There were a couple times and I was like, oh, he definitely studied Harrison Ford's, like, mannerisms for this shot. But in general, I just saw him kind of as a, I don't know. It was weird because for the first time, my brain kind of separated the character from the actor, which is, like, not a very human thing to do, right? Someone's personality, someone's character, you pretty much only ever experience that with the context of the body. And if you don't, then you should go to a psychiatrist. Like, well done to that man. And that had to be, can you imagine how difficult that would be? That you have to act like another actor? You can't even act in your own style. Like, that's, and still have it look natural? I applaud you, sir. Not to mention frickin' Ron Howard. Like, if you look at the behind the scenes for how they made this movie, it was insane. It was a total nightmare. Like, literally, basically, weeks before being finished shooting, they fired both of the directors and hired Ron Howard to come in and be like, oh, by the way, you only have a few weeks. But somehow, Ron Howard was able to make it happen. Hey, Chris from editing here. I just looked it up and turns out they extended the shooting of the movie an additional 4 months. So it wasn't made in a matter of weeks as much as just 4 months, which is still decently impressive, but just wanted to make that clear. Okay, keep that in mind. Literally, the actor that played the bad guy, they had to reshoot everything because they just recast him with, like, how? How did that happen? That blows my freaking mind. It also probably totally blew out the audio. I apologize about that. And that really kind of sucks because you may have seen it's not doing very well at the box office at all. And I think honestly that has a lot more to do with just the freaking advertising. The marketing for this movie was awful. It was awful. I didn't know that it was coming out before, like, a month before it did. I'm like, hey, aren't they working on like a solo movie? And then, oh look, they just released the trailer for it next month. I'm like, oh, what? That'd be one thing if this was just like an independent film, but this is freaking Star Wars. And they don't release a trailer for it until that's not nearly enough time to build up all of the hype. Especially when about freaking Han Solo. Oh my gosh. It really, it's a bummer. It did the film as a whole a disservice. Because it's a fun movie. It's a fun movie. You should go see it, please. Ron Howard's a great guy, and darn it, I want to support this kind of thing. It was a fun roller coaster ride. So, yeah. Go see it, please. We gotta, because the marketing for this film was so bad, we gotta spread it by, word of mouth, basically. This chair, I'm going to just have to get some WD-40 for this thing. Okay, I'll calm down. You know, the funny thing is I'm not even, a major Star Wars nerd at all. I've only ever seen the movies. I haven't even seen the Clone Wars show or anything, but, I had fun watching it. And at the end of the day, that is what matters. Stay positive.